He starts copying it. This giant, no, basically the whole story was Nick Swartzen hand wrote the movie Malibu's Most Wanted and used Barry's copy machine and printed it up in Barry's office. And, and he was like, basically he's a big fan of Whitney and was a very strong, very vocal, supporter of people that get off their ass and do shit like Whitney.
Well, you certainly can't argue that Whitney
giant
didn't do
notebook, man.
You certainly can't argue. One time Barry came up to me though, and I to this day I don't know what he meant.
All right, I'm no good.
Okay.
You send it to the translator.
Okay. No. It wasn't even a sentence. He walked up. I was at craft service. No bullshit. This is true. I was at craft service. He walked up, and you know how like he'll walk up to you. He's a guy you can feel from, like if he's behind you, it's like you have the Spidey sense or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel him behind me, and I know it's him at the craft service. I'm getting cheese or whatever, and I hear him say this. This is what he says: Barry Bonds. That's it. And I look at him, and he gives me one of these, like, I can do it to you, but the audience won't know, but he goes like, you know, like, what is that face? Like, explain that to who's listening.
A one eyebrow raise?
Yeah, one eyebrow raise. Like, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do?
I know I know. See, I can translate that.
Okay, what? And then I went, and then I just went, you know, I gave him the, what are you going to do face? Because still, even though I didn't know what the fuck he was.
Then you walked away.
Yeah, because.
Had you stayed in the pocket.
No, that makes me too nervous.
I know exactly. He is a fucking grim reaper that looks like Dirk Nowitzki. This is exactly what he would have said to you had you not left the pocket.
Okay, what?
Barry Bonds. You're like fucking Barry Bonds out there, man.
Yeah, that is so.
No matter what they throw at you, no matter how many rewrites, you just hit it out of the park every time. No matter how much hate or negativity, no matter what commotion is going on, no matter what people say about you, you have the ability to tune it out and just hit it out of the park. You're Barry Bonds, man.
Thanks, Barry.
Hey, anytime, Papa. Have you ever seen those giant notebooks? So first you read for Whitney. Your first audition was for whom?
It was for her and the showrunner and I guess the casting director was
That's
there.
a good up the ladder.
Yeah.
Entrance.
Yeah. I don't know if it was because I'm sure it was because I knew her, but it was also because I was already on another series.
Which one?
Called Glory Days.
Okay.
And so I was auditioning and I actually couldn't do it. So, but I was like, Whit, I don't know if I can do it. And she was like, well, you should still come in and audition. So I did. And then she was like, I want you to play the fucking part. After I auditioned. She wrote it for me in a way.
Yeah, that's what Barry said.
Yeah. And so,
she didn't write it for Jeff Kent. She wrote it for Barry Bonds.
Jeff Kent, dude. Jeff Kent, by the way, looks like...
Jose Vizcaino, the batter.
Jeff Kent always, to me, looked like somebody who would be a famous movie star in the 80s.
Absolutely.
With the mustache.
Shigetoshi Hasagawa on the mound.
Turk Wendell. Do you remember Turk Wendell?
Yeah, the Turk. He used to brush his teeth between innings.
Yep.
What a freak.
Yep.
It's like when you have quirks, they really only are interesting if you're good. When you brush your teeth between innings and your ERA is 6, you're just a dick.
And you're batting
it's
118.
Like, bro, you should start not brushing your teeth between innings and go up there with some foul breath and get someone out.
Right.
All right, so Whitney and the showrunner.
So I auditioned for it. And then
podcasting here.
Can they hear that? Do you think in the background?
Oh, yeah.
There's a dog screaming and a little kid screaming. So I auditioned. I went in, and then I went in for.
Hold on, let me shut these people up. Wait, unless you want to
no, yeah, I'll just be talking. Are you going? Are you cutting it?
I'm coming back.
Can you just cut?
All right, so you audition.
Because I'm so nervous.
Leave all this in.
Okay, leave it in.
So you go in for the show.
I get nervous when I'm by myself. And then I auditioned for. I think I went right from there to testing for the studio.
The same day?
No. It was weeks later. And I was like, I still don't know what my deal was with Glory Days because we were going to maybe get picked up or maybe not. And then
was that on Comedy Central?
That was on TBS.
Glory Days. Was that the one that Jim Gaffigan was in?
No.
That was The Boys.
That was my Boys.
Forgive, I have a 1-year-old. I don't watch a lot and murder shows.
Glory Days was it took place in the 80s. And it was about a fraternity. And I played like the old burnout stoner guy. A character a lot like the Workaholics one, actually.
Andrew, our engineer, said he played a lovable pedophile.
Yeah.
And I said, is there any other kind?
I don't know.
Aren't they, isn't that the sickness? Is that they're just too much love to give?
Hey, you don't judge who you're playing, right?
No, you can't judge them. So then you go to network.
So I went to network, and then I got it, and they were like, "Well, we got to figure out what's going on with Gordy's," which is crazy because like networks won't even test you if you're in a. I don't know why this happened. I don't know how this happened.
This just happened to me, and I'll tell you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But I think it happened because
on a much smaller scale of success.
I think what happened was that for some reason Whitney has this thing where people just listen to her and don't fuck with her, and I think that she was going to bat for me, and I got it, and then they ended up canceling Glory Days, and that day I got Whitney. And
I worked with Whitney at. Where was it? We were at Sundance, which is, I guess, Park City, Utah.
Yeah.
And I had a sit-down show where I would interview, like, director. I'm not even sure how I got it. I was not qualified at all. But I'm sitting across from, like, Werner Herzog,
wow.
asking him about, like, documentaries and stuff.
Wow.
And then I would toss to Whitney, and then every once in a while, Whitney and I would do, like, remotes. And I'd been with my wife. We had been dating for, like, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe.
Uh-huh.
And then my wife came up, and it wasn't until like years later where my wife just had assumed that Whitney and I hooked up in Park City.
That's funny.
Because we were just left alone, and I'm like, no, it was like hanging out with a guy.
Right, yeah.
Like we joked, we just goofed off.
She's really good at like.
She tried, and I just kept telling her no.
Right, no, I know, but no, she's really good at just like I was saying, like you don't fuck with her, like she just won't stand for that shit. She just won't stand for it. She knows if it's business, it's business.
It used to be like when a woman put their foot down and really like said, "This is what I want, and I don't want to hear about it." Everyone just wrote them off as like a bitch and difficult. But
right.
It seems like the Roseannes and like the Brett Butlers kind of paved the way where there's so much success behind that bulldozer that if you just don't call this woman a bitch, you just, in case this thing catches fire, you want to be behind. Or like Chelsea Handler is a great example.
Yeah.
Who's like, this is how we're doing it. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. She just is no bullshit, man. And she's very...
Do you see repercussions of people like thinking she's being like a creep? I don't want to keep saying the B word because she's... I mean, do you... It's as a guy on a set, there is a difference when a woman, especially an attractive woman, says something declaratively. Is that a word?
Yeah.
It tends to be like, yeah, sure, honey.
Right.
Whereas like a guy, we could just be like a 5 and be like, that's not fucking cool, dude. And they're like, all right, let me talk to somebody.
Yeah.
You're telling me they really listen to her.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
That's terrific.
Yeah, she's always been like that ever since I known her. You know, people are just kind of like intimidated by her, or just, even still, people come up to me and say like, "Hey, I don't think Whitney likes me," and you're just like, that's not even something.
Yeah, it's weird that I don't even know how you get that vibe from her, because her vibe that whenever I spent time around her was one of like constant like guys breaking balls.
Yeah, she's
self-deprecating.
She's one of my best friends. I mean, she's just fun to be around. Funny, and she's just like funny to like. You could break her balls and she'd break your balls,
Yeah, but you can't break her balls harder than she'll break her own. She's very quick to self-deprecate.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
She takes the wind out of your game.
Yeah.
You're like, what about you with your granny panties? And then she'll go on for like 10 minutes about like, I actually do wear granny panties.
Right.
And show them to you, and you're like, oh my god, now I just feel bad.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I said the thing about the granny panties.
This is horrible. Are you happy doing that show? Is this like a dream come true?
It's funny. I never ever thought I would be on a multi-camera sitcom ever.
What did you think you'd be doing?
I just figured I've always my what I want to do ultimately is I want to do like Beverly Hills Cop type shit, like that kind of stuff, like just action comedy or action. Like that's my goal. But so I just would think there immediately, or I would think like I want to do movies or like I want to be on like a show. I figure just my act, because I'm not like, my act on stage is not PG really. I mean, it's not very dirty, but I just figured I'd wind up somewhere on cable or something, But to be the guy, also everybody on every sitcom is always like, what am I gonna do? And I just won't play that, Like I don't like. I
always say that it's the easiest job in the world.
Yeah, I mean it's very
absurd.
Yeah,
you walk in and go, "Who ate my avocados?"
Right.
And they hit the applause sign.
But the thing is like, I was like, as long as I don't have to play the fucking idiot, like a lot of guys in sitcoms, like the husband or the boyfriend, they're like, oops, I messed up. And that's like the joke. And it's like, but that's not what I play. As long as I can be natural, it's cool. And I like doing it. I love doing it, man.
What I like about the show, and my wife pointed this out to me too, is it's not you guys against each other as much as at the end of the day, it's you guys against the world.
Yeah. Well,
and that seems to be the lost art of sitcom.
Yeah, people don't do that anymore, and that's
always the husband's a douche.
Yeah,
baby, you're the greatest at the last second of the show.
Right, but Whitney was from the beginning wanted that. She from the beginning wanted it to be about, was one of the reasons why she wrote it kind of for me is we can play with each other and argue with each other, and we don't hate each other or it's threatening at all. Yeah. I mean, there are some jokes in the show where I like really bust her hard, but I'm smiling and people know it's they love each other.
Yeah. How many? Do you know who else was up for the part? Did you get
mine?
Yeah. Did you get that out of her?
Well, I tested with the guys, so.
Oh, they're in the room?
Yeah.
When I just tested, I was alone.
Really? That's probably because you're a star. I wasn't.
Yeah, I'm doing a podcast from my garage. By the way, Chris D'Elia has a podcast, the 10-minute podcast, with Will Sasso and Brian Callen, and it's kind of enraging because we sit here and we talk for an hour. Sometimes we talk for 2 hours. David Tell and I talked about stand-up comedy for 3 hours. Wow. It's a 10-minute podcast, and he's in the fucking top 10. Like, literally, you are doing a tenth of the work of every other podcast, and you're just charting.
Well, I don't understand why nobody thought of it, though. It was Will Sasso.
Because no one would think that a 10-minute podcast, anybody would subscribe to it.
Okay, well, here's the deal. Let me tell you something.
Once you get the intros out of the way, it's an 8-minute podcast.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 9 maybe. But let me tell you something. I don't listen to podcasts because they're too long. There must be more people like me out there. And when Will said, let's do a 10-minute podcast.
Sorry, Chris, we're out of time.
When he said, let's do a 10-minute podcast, I was like, yeah, that's the fucking best idea ever.
Language.
I'm sorry. Best what? Best idea ever.
Best daggum. Oh, you can say fuck. That's fine.
But not idea?
Ever.
You don't
ever.
Want me to say
I don't like
idea?
Superlatives. Don't speak in superlatives, Chris.
Yeah, you're right. No, and so we did it, and immediately people were like, oh, I can listen to 3 on the way to this.
It's so brilliant.
It's really dumb, too. We're not that like, smart, so we just want to talk about shitting and dumb shit.
Brian Callen, I got a lot of inside scoop for you for this podcast from Brian Callen.
Sure.
He's told me to make fun of your hair extensions. Which I'm looking at now, they're not extensions.
No.
And that's coming from a guy that looks like a Brazilian Muay Thai fighter losing it, like an aged Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy. That's what Brian Callen looks like. He looks like one of those aging Brazilian mat guys. Mostly an aging something.
He will, in aging anything, he will interrupt my set at the Laugh Factory or the Comedy Store and go, yeah. And like when it's quiet, like when I'm setting something up. And then I'll be like, what are you doing, bro? And he'll be like, yeah. And they'll just say, well, because he's got extensions. There's fucking 200 people there.
I asked him if he likes stand-up, and he said, why wouldn't I like it? It's an hour. No, I didn't ask him. I asked someone else. I forget who it was, and I said, who did I ask this? Whatever. I won't remember. I asked somebody.
About him?
Behind Brian Callen's back.
Right.
I said, Brian's really funny, and they go, he's a really good stand-up, too. And I said, he is. I mean, he really likes doing it. And they go, what do you think? For an hour, he gets to stand in front of strangers and tell them to look at him.
Oh, yeah.
Look at my body, look at my legs. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's what he does. Yeah. His
hysterical.
Whole set. And he shot his Showtime thing, and it aired like a few months ago. He said, well, I just did an hour and a half. I did 90 minutes because they'll cut it down to an hour. They aired the whole 90 minutes. And he's like, fuck, what am I going to do? Like,
yeah, I did it really long hoping they would edit it down too.
Yeah.
What was the name of his special?
Man Class. And he talked about his body and fighting for 90 minutes, and it was funny.
A lot of dance moves, a lot of sound effects.
What? Yeah. We always get on him about the sound effects. We tell him to shut the fuck up on the podcast.
Call him Brian Winslow. No one thought of that yet?
No, but actually we did say you'd like the guy from Police Academy.
Sounds good. Tell us what a sprinkler sounds like when we come back from break, Brian. He said you get up at noon every day.
Oh, he gave you all the info.
Is this true?
Well, yeah, when I'm not shooting, yeah.
He said you go to the Coffee Bean every day.
I run that block, yeah.
Which block? Where do you live?
I don't want
around. Where do you live?
The Valley.
Live in the Valley.
Yeah. I run the block.
You keep the block hot.
I sit at the Coffee Bean. There used to be a salad place. I would run that salad place, but it closed down.
The salad place.
and then.
Hey, sweetheart, I think we're at a ranch. You know what I mean? Where's the ranch, honey? I'm going to Coffee Bean. Do you straighten out the salad bar?
I would protect them, you know, not in like if there were not like anything would go down, but if something went down, I would protect them. And
in your bizarre world,
where
I
would
someone
be like, you guys can't do this, I'd be like the old man, the crazy old man, only not old.
Everyone get on the floor. We're robbing the salad place.
Right.
And you'd be like, no, you get I think you get the wrong salad place, partner.
You got the wrong block.
Oh, the block you're talking. The whole
I had the
block.
salad place. There was a fucking there's a bagel place. I got that bagel place still kind of on lock. But like I have a coffee bean. That place is for
How
sure
far
on lock.
down Ventura Boulevard?
It's not that many. It's not that many. It's like 5.
Studio
It's like a little